Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name's Amira and I'm gonna get started with sketching or continuing to sketch my comic Darlo. I have never done a voiceover before, so we are just gonna do this thing. So I love sketching in blue because it gives me like a better visual on, I guess, what I'm gonna put on top of it. Sometimes it can be confusing to sketch in a darker color. This comic, I guess this episode had a ton of text in it. I was just feeling like really inspired by some sketches that I'd done before. So if you see some pauses while I'm drawing, it's just because I'm looking over my notes and I'm still getting used to this editing thing. Just like that. So yeah, this comic is kind of one of those things that's been cooking in my brain for a while, and like while I'm making it, I'm actually writing it at the same time, writing and illustrating. So it's a pretty good challenge for me. And Darlo is just a fun little character. I feel like it's part of my personality that's like really goofy, a little frumpy in like a good way. And just, a range of emotions. I got the name actually because some people ask me where I got my name and what it means, but I really I like the name Darla because I guess growing up I watched Little Rascals and I love that name, but I wanted to make it less, less like cutesy. I still wanted it to sound cute, but I wanted to give it like a little edge because she's extreme. And you can see here, I feel like I am really going in with the text. I just finished a ton of writing, and when I rewrote it for my outline, I actually had to reword it because some of the handwriting I can't read at all. So this character is not inspired by Darla from the Little Rascals. I just really like the name. And right now I'm moving things around just to get the spacing right. I'm doing all of this on Krita too, which is a free drawing app. Don't currently have Photoshop, but I do have access to it. I just find that Krita is a little bit easier to use, and I think because I've been using it for so long for these comics, it's nice, and it's also really accessible, especially because there are lots of tutorials online, definitely more for Photoshop, but I feel like Photoshop can have, there are so many features which make it lovely, but it can be kind of confusing when everything is everywhere. So I like that Krita is a bit simplified, and one day I will probably transition into using Photoshop, but today is not that day. So as you can see, I'm like pulling from my palette because I want to make sure that I get the outline correct. And I'm also pulling Darlo so I make sure I get our proportions correct, because for the first couple of chapters, actually, I did not focus on her proportions at all. And I think some of the pictures look very different when it comes down to like what I actually want her to look like. And so I was just doing this for a little bit of consistency. This little statue was fun to make because it was so cute. I love a good memorial statue and a little bit of lore. I grew up playing a lot of Neopets, and I think part of like the silliness of this and maybe a little bit of the style reminds me a lot of Neopets, and they had a ton of these statues. What is it, in Altador, I think? Yeah, Altador, I think it's the name of the town. Is it an island? The city? The place? But I love that their lore is so deep. And I kind of wanted to give this a similar-ish vibe. Also, if you could see the way that I switch up the hands, sometimes they're little stubs, sometimes they're like hyper realistic, and they drive me crazy. Oh my god. I redraw my hands so many times. And for this toothbrushing, it's so funny to narrate this while I'm watching it. But yeah, I redrew this hand so many times, and I even had to hold my pencil up to my mouth to try to figure out how I hold my toothbrush. It was difficult because I'm kind of doing it in the reverse, like, because this is a mirror image. So it was quite a challenge. Yeah, I guess that's how I ended up doing it. That's kind of how I look in the morning. Like, comment, and subscribe if you also look like that in the morning. Or if you love bugs. So I used to actually stream this drawing process on Twitch, literally just to like my sister and a couple of friends, which was so fun still. And I want to get back into that. It's a little bit, I don't know, I guess it's a little bit stressful for me, I guess, the process of drawing and trying to talk to people at the same time, but it is something that I enjoyed for a little bit, but we'll see. Maybe this process is a little bit easier if I don't do like a drawing of my comic, I guess. One of my favorite things about this one too is that that drawing specifically of the ant was from, as you saw earlier, from a different comic that I made, or from the same one, just a different episode. And it was really nice to be able to kind of like pull things from other episodes, so it felt like, I guess, more connected. Everything was connected. I also played around with this t-shirt a lot because I didn't want to make it too complicated, and I also didn't want to oversimplify it, and I kind of settled on Bugwell, which is so cute because I love bugs. I also really love the tool that I'm using, like the selector tool, like random selector. That is so fun. And this episode, I was really experimenting with like different techniques for drawing comics too. Like, I had never have like made any drawings like this before, like with the geometric lines, and I could like, oh my god, I feel kind of embarrassed because I can see, oh, okay, good, I corrected it. I could see already my proportions look crazy. Like, yeah. I studied art in college, so this was something that I was like, oh, this isn't like real art, but it is. And I think sometimes I get in my head about how perfect I want things to be, and this comic was kind of one of those things that was like, hey, you don't have to make things perfect. Like, it's okay if things look sketchy, not like bad sketchy, but like it's sketched and not totally perfect, because you could always, like, I know how to paint a realistic painting, and I don't have to prove that to anybody, but I think this took a lot of pressure off of just the whole process of creating art in the first place. And it's just fun. It's been one of those hobbies for me that just like I always come back to it whenever I'm bored, like just like drawing little drawings and thinking about bugs. I feel like I'm talking so much. Is this how other people feel when they stream or when they make videos? There she goes, she's coming down with me. I also love how tiny Darlo is. Like, she's kind of supposed to give the same energy as, like, you know, like, maybe it's a bit of imposter syndrome where, like, you kind of feel like, and this is maybe a projection, because, I mean, every character comes from, like, the creator, right? And like, she's giving, like, I feel like a kid, even though I'm doing, like, grown-up things. And that was the whole point of me making her kind of small, is not to belittle her at all, because she's BA, you know? But it's more of just, like, gives the feeling of, like, I'm just a girl. But she's very capable. I'm really excited for this next episode, too. The part 2 of episode 4, I think. I just posted part 1 of episode 4. And I'm just like really excited about this storyline, and I hope that it pans out well, or I hope like people understand it. Also, I love drawing that chair. It was super fun. Yeah, but she is about to do, they, whatever, either one really. They're about to do some like really weird, crazy things with chemicals. So I know nothing about science, I know nothing about chemicals, so I'm going to try not to dip into the what are you talking about zone, and I'm just gonna wing it, but bear with me, you guys. This is a fantasy. It is a real life simulation. It's a real life comic, but it is complete fantasy. You would know if you saw the big spider in one of my comics. It's a very big spider. Oh, I think it's the one actually after I draw about this. That was not a spoiler. There was bound to be a spider in one of these episodes. If you have arachnophobia, maybe do not watch that one, because it is very big. Look at that little Adam's apple. I really love this character, the boss. And if you are curious about this accent, I don't know about his accent. I just wanted to spell things incorrectly, and I imagine him talking really slow. Like, he's a smart dude. Obviously, he got his position as a boss being smart. What am I saying? I just don't want his character to be perceived as dumb, I guess, even though he's kind of got like a slower accent. It's more of just like, I don't know, it's just, there's something endearing about people that talk really slow. I think like partially living in Appalachia, like if you guys are on the East Coast of America, living in Appalachia, a lot of people have like very slow accents, and I don't know, I find it to be really endearing, like the Southern accent, the Southern hospitality, and it can be, I think, seen as like maybe some more negative than, I guess, what am I trying to say here? Some people can perceive it as people being like not as intelligent, but I would disagree, because I feel like you could find that anywhere, first of all. And second of all, I don't know, it's very cute. I love a Southern accent. I love people that talk slow, and I love people that like just say things differently, you know? I don't think we all have to sound the same all the time. Look at these little legs. What am I doing with these legs? I forgot I drew them over and over and over again. And this is me, oh my god, not the grasshopper legs. Yeah, this is me just trying to figure out like just what works best, and I realized I should just get into the sketch layer, and then I don't have to redraw things over and over again. Yeah, and I'm pretty bad at like erasing lines. When it comes to like doing outlines, if I mess up, sometimes I'll just leave tiny little bits of that line. So I realized that when I jump into the sketch layer, which seems so obvious, to just redraw things, it makes it so much easier. So I don't have to, nitpick those tiny little details. I love Darlo too, because like her little pointy feet and her little nubby arms, they're the best. Like, that's actually my favorite way to draw feet. Simple, you can understand it. If any of you guys have watched Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, I love that show. And I love how everybody was just moving on like basically like peg legs and mushroom clouds, and they were just traveling in all sorts of ways, and that was super fun. Yeah, and this big sun here, that was inspired by the Teletubbies, just in case anyone was wondering. when I was drawing this background too, I really wanted it to be simple. And sometimes when I look at it, I'm like, is it too simple? But I guess that's just the deal when you watch things back. We're just critical of what our work looks like. But you know what? This was so fun. Was it really work? And drawing these rectangles too for the city reminds me so much of MS Paint. What y'all know about that? What do I know about that, honestly? Have you guys ever drawn in, what's it called? MS Paint? If you have, let me know, and let me know what you were drawing, because I was drawing people's OCs back when DeviantArt was a big thing. Also played a lot of RPGs. And now that I think about it, this character actually has the same proportions as Gaia Online characters, or like the avatars. And I love that. Like the big head and the stumpy bodies, the best. But yeah, this is definitely giving careless drawing, but in a good way. Careless is not the right word. Okay, skirt, pause, let me stop being critical. This was so fun to draw because of her bean-shaped little body, and getting the proportions right and like getting things to look like they're supposed to be there in this simplified style is actually harder than you think. It's like when people are like, oh, I can just draw a stick figure. I'm like, yeah, it's harder to draw a stick figure than you would think, especially because everything is so simplified. Like you really have to try hard to not want to get all the details in. At least that's what I find, especially with drawing hands. Also, I've drawn bikes like this ever since I was in elementary school. And I think that this is why I love this style so much, is because I can kind of release that feeling of like, oh, this needs to be the most perfect thing ever. And it's like a mixture of like, oh, let me dabble in this, let me dabble in that, and this process is just me trying to find out like what I really like when it comes to this kind of drawing. Because like I said before, I like painting realistic things. So this is like completely different medium and thought process for me. This lady on the phone, the receptionist, was partially inspired by oh god, what's her name? From the Powerpuff Girls, the secretary from the Powerpuff Girls. Because of her big hair. Loved her. That would be such a fun Halloween costume. Like if I had a child, I would dress him up as the mayor and I would be the secretary, and that would be really fun. Okay, here I can already tell that these proportions are wonky. Oh, there I go. Fixed it. All right, so we are drawing a little helmet, drawing little stub feet, little bean arms. Also, it was really fun drawing the other characters too, and just thinking about like what their personalities were like. When I first planned this comic, I wasn't really planning on having that many other characters in it, but doing this kind of felt like awesome actually, because this next episode we spend more time with this coworker with like the, I don't even know, I can't remember what his name is. I know it said it earlier, but I just can't remember. But we spend more time with this character, and we're actually traveling to his grandmother's house, or his mom's house. And that's where the next episode basically is set in. That was actually one of my favorite episodes to draw. So if you've already seen it, or if you haven't, you can, I don't know, maybe I'll do a link thing. I can't really point up to the top of the screen, but if you want to, you could check it out. I'll probably be posting it after this one, but it's on WEBTOON, and you just search Darlo and you'll find the episode there. I'll also, like I said, link a link to the video once that's posted as well. And you guys let me know, like, are these videos too long? Would you like them longer? Would you like less dialogue? Would you like... What's the kind of content we're looking for here? Because I'm not sure if I have the stamina to voice every single one of these videos, but if you guys tend to like them, I wouldn't be opposed to doing more. Maybe I'll read a little story while I'm doing the drawing. Yeah, just let me know in the comments. I would love to know. I'm really new to this, so I think, yeah, I would appreciate any kind of advice, any kind of comment. Well, don't be mean, please. I'm very sensitive and I'll cry. Well, I probably won't cry, but please don't hurt me. Oh, geez. Shout out to my sisters, though. Love you guys, because I know one of y'all will be watching. And if you made it to this point, big shout out to you, whoever you are. I appreciate you. I wish that my eyes would turn into stars anytime I saw something that I was excited about, because how cute. I think that would be so sweet. This was one of my favorite drawings in this particular episode, because I just love when characters emote. And if you're an artist and you draw people, maybe you understand me more, but or maybe anyone can understand this, but whenever I draw a specific emotion, sometimes I catch myself making the same emotion just to make sure I get the facial expression right. And it's so funny to me, but it's really fun at the same time. So this was a really fun drawing to make because I was sitting here doing the same face. Oh my god, this drawing is stressing me out. I think I was really stressed out actually with this shirt because this guy's got kind of funny proportions. He's kind of, I wanted to make him like tube shape. And actually when I think about making characters, I think about like how like Pixar and Disney and other animation companies, they tend to like exaggerate features. And as much as I love that, and I think it's really effective in some ways, I think it could be kind of cliche. And for this, I was trying to think of shapes that are still like a little exaggerated, but just a little more awkward, if that makes sense. Like I love that the tall guy, he is bell-shaped, bell tube-shaped. And I love that Darlo is shaped like a bean. Like whenever I draw her body, she's like a bean. So yeah, I just find that really fun, is to make people look awkward. Because people are awkward, we're all awkward, and it's so lovely. This scene right here too was like, I wanted it to look very, very like secret, not undercover, but like secret science. Like you're not allowed to come into these rooms, the laboratories and everything, because people are doing crazy stuff in there. And oh wait, maybe no spoilers. But yeah, I have no idea what's going on in laboratories, but I know there's always a gauge. There's always this button that's in a box, the self-destruct button. There's always a beaker. Gotta get the rules in the back. And then this room is like a backpack bug spraying backpack room, kind of like laser tag rooms where you like come in and it's a little bit neon, and then you have to like get your pack on, and yeah. So I'm kind of realizing that a lot of this stuff is inspired by my childhood, because I played a ton of laser tag when I was a kid. Like that was just like the thing to do when you went to somebody's birthday, or you just had like a weekend where your parents were like, let's get out the house. It's like bowling, laser tag, and then ice skating or rollerblading. Like that was the best. And what would make the perfect day is all of them at once. I was not very good at laser tag. My gun was always broken for some reason. Am I allowed to say that word on YouTube? My pew-pew was always broken, and that's why I never hit my target. That is probably not true. Oh yeah, this was just me experimenting with the shapes over here. I really love that with this receptionist. Her shapes were more like flowy and like liquidy, flowy, like a little bit more graceful. And then we gotta throw in our tube man over here. And I love a big sweater. I need to make that sweater longer. Maybe I do end up doing that in a little bit. It looks a little short from what I remember it looking like. Oh. It's got the skinny legs. Okay, here we go, sweater. So much better. I also love that Darlo's like main outfit is basically a dress that looks like a sweater, and I wanted his outfit to mimic that a little bit. I think I want them to be friends, like weird friends, like friends that like kind of get each other in a way but are in their own worlds, which I think maybe everyone's like that, in our own worlds, maybe a little dissociated. Again, probably projecting because it's hard out here. Okay, edit that out. Oh wait, I don't have an editor. This is just one continuous recording. 27 minutes? Jeez. I forgot how long this video was. Maybe you guys are playing this in the background. I hope dinner's going well, or making dinner over here. I've been doing this thing recently where, oh, Darlo, the controller? That's intense. I've been doing this thing recently where I have been listening to YouTube videos of people playing games in the morning, kind of like it's like a radio station, and I'm in my 70s and I wake up and I have to listen to the news and radio, but the news is like somebody live streaming Timberborn, which is a game about beavers, if you don't know about that game. It's really great. I would highly recommend it. It's not sponsored by me. Nothing I've mentioned today is sponsored. But not that I really have mentioned anything that can be sponsored. But anyways, now I'm just kind of writing all the words that I'm trying to read back. I think right now I can actually read some of these pretty well, but like this, the dialogue, I had no idea what some of these were saying. But oh, I love this. So, what are your qualifications, Darlo? That's not how I imagine he sounded, but I just wanted to reread that. I hope that you guys make your own voices while you're reading them. But I know you guys have heard that qualifications joke, and it's one of my favorites, actually. This job comes with a lot of responsibility. So good. So good. And another thing that I was kind of debating when I first started this comic was like, should I be writing my own words? Because I know that a lot of comics on WEBTOONs have like just like regular text in them, and they're of course catered to the style of the comic, and I know they're much easier to read, but I don't really like that for mine specifically because my drawings are a little bit looser. With that said, I do try it. Everything that I'm like, oh, maybe not is for me, I will end up trying it because, like I said, this is kind of like an experimental comic for me. But yeah, at first I didn't really like the thought of adding text to it. Also on Krita, this is like the one critique that I have of Krita, is that their text system, or like how the text integrates into like the layering, it's not like a paint layer when you add it in, it's like an alpha layer. And is it an alpha layer? It's and it's difficult because I have to convert it to a paint layer afterwards, but it's just, I feel like it could be a little bit easier. I don't know, maybe it's just too many steps for now. But something I have always wanted to do was turn my handwriting into a regular text so I could like kind of still write how I write and have it be a little bit more uniform. Because I think sometimes I do make those O's too small and my eyes are disappearing, and yeah, I think that would also make it like a little bit more accessible for people to kind of read. Speaking of trying to make it accessible for people to read, this paragraph that I'm about to write was in my head much longer, but I got so tired of writing and I wanted to make my box bigger, but I didn't want to take up so much space. And I knew that there would probably be somebody reading this that would actually want to read all of the words. And I didn't want to go too far into like scientific mumbo jumbo talk because I would have started making things up and I don't know, who knows where that would have gone. Not sure why they lit. Oh yeah, here's the episode. I think my sister did read all of this and they were trying their hardest to read it, but it was, oh, Daryl, that's what his name is. Daryl's the boss. Okay, here we go. How did I forget my own characters' names? Right. And so while I'm reading this, it actually does say a lot about the next episode. So if you were to read this paragraph, it's intended to be like, oh, this guy is speaking so much and Darlo is just ignoring him because they're so excited about everything around them. But he's rambling a little bit as well, and that's what I like about him being like in his own world, because like how many times I've been in so many situations where I've been trained to do a job and people are just talking and talking and talking at me, and being a visual learner, I just one ear out the other, not because I don't want to listen, but because sometimes you just don't have the capacity. Yeah. Manual. Did I spell that right? Manual. And now I'm just adding in like tiny little details because I have to make sure that, you know, the book is there and the details on the shirt's there, and rewriting some things, tricks of the trade. I wanted to also like use some emotional, what's it called, tricks that anime uses, where like I think in this one where it's like the lines on her face, I really like the way that like anime and manga have those expression lines when things are like, oh, that noise. And these little tiny things too. I just think it adds a nice little touch. This still feels so weird talking about my comic while I'm drawing it. Well, while I'm editing the video. And I'll probably get more used to it, but so strange. I don't know if any of you guys have done this, but I'm sitting in my room talking to myself, and that's what it feels like. And that's kind of what it feels like when I'm streaming, because nobody watches my streams. But it's okay. Like, I know we gotta start somewhere, right? And even if this doesn't really get to anybody and nobody's watching the video, I'm proud of myself for doing it, because I set out a goal and I'm gonna finish the goal. Speaking of, I'm rearranging all these words again because I don't know why. I just needed to space things out more, because some things were a little scrunched and a little off center. And this was a pretty long comic, so I just wanted to make sure that it looked good while people were scrolling. And yep, and this is me just showing that you could find all my episodes on WEBTOONs. I currently have out more than this, one extra, but yeah, this is kind of how it looked when it was finished, when it was all colored. And I might have a video after this too on the coloring process. But that's, yep, as you can see, 2 episodes are out, and there's actually an extra episode after this one that I just finished today, actually. I also have a Patreon. I would love for you to follow me there. You could be a free member, a paid member, doesn't really matter. I post content about Darlo and about other things in what I'm doing with my art and my journey. So, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.